I didn't grow up far from Ocean Parkway. For most of my life, that long stretch of road along Gilgo Beach just felt empty, too quiet, like the kind of place where the wind seemed to whisper more than it should. Locals always said the beaches were cursed after dark, but no one ever explained why. Not until the bodies started showing up. The story officially begins in 2010, but what happened there started long before that. Years earlier, people had reported strange things along that road. Abandoned burner phones ringing from the sand, dogs barking at nothing near the beach brush, the sound of someone walking just out of sight. No one took it seriously. Not until a young woman named Shannon Gilbert made a frantic 911 call. For 23 minutes, she begged for help. Her voice trembled as she repeated, "They're trying to kill me. Please." The dispatcher's tape caught heavy breathing, frantic footsteps, and something else, a second voice murmuring from somewhere behind her. Shannon fled into the marsh, disappearing into the darkness. Police searched for months but found nothing, not until they stumbled onto something even worse, a body. Then another, then another. 4 victims wrapped the same way. 4 women positioned nearly identically along the edge of Ocean Parkway, and they were found so close together that investigators realized one terrifying truth. Someone had been using the beach as a dumping ground for years, and nobody noticed. When the media started calling him the Long Island serial killer, most people assumed it was exaggerated. New York is full of rumors, after all, but the more you read about the case, the harder it becomes to sleep afterward, because unlike Hollywood serial killers, Lisk didn't leave dramatic clues or taunting letters. He left almost nothing, just enough to prove he existed, and enough to prove he was good at not being caught. What still haunts me most are the calls, because yes, he called the victims' families, not once, not as a prank, not as a mistake, multiple times. One family member described his voice as calm, almost casual, like he was discussing the weather. But behind that calm, there was something off, a quiet strain, like someone holding in laughter. Police tried tracing the calls, but every time an officer picked up, the line would go dead instantly. The killer only spoke when he wanted to. He controlled the calls, the timing, the fear. He controlled everything. Most people don't know that one of the victims actually managed to dial 911 before she disappeared. The call captured nothing but her screams and a man's voice in the background. It's never been publicly released, and probably never will be. But investigators have described it as deeply disturbing. What they refuse to detail is what the man was saying, only that his tone wasn't angry. It was patient, like someone speaking to a lost child. Then the bodies kept appearing. As police expanded their search, they discovered more remains, some from missing persons dating back over a decade. Different methods, different timelines, different victims, but all along the same haunting strip of coastline. The killer treated the place like his personal graveyard. The most chilling detail, 2 sets of remains belonged to a woman and her toddler child. Both disappeared at the same time, both found years later, buried separately along the same road. That single discovery changed the tone of the investigation. It wasn't just about murder anymore. It was about someone who had crossed every imaginable line. For 20 years, the case went nowhere. Investigators retired. Families grew quiet. Rumors died down. Ocean Parkway returned to silence, but every now and then a jogger or dog walker would swear they saw something out of the corner of their eye, a figure standing just beyond the reeds, watching. Then, in 2023, everything shifted. A suspect was finally arrested, a man named Rex Hoyerman. He lived in Massapequa Park, just miles from the beaches where the bodies were found. To neighbors, he was quiet, awkward, unremarkable, the kind of person you'd forget the moment you walked past. But police had tracked him for years, analyzing burner phones, dark web searches, cell tower pings, and the evidence piled up. His arrest made headlines everywhere, but even now authorities believe he might not have acted alone, or that someone else may still be out there. Because several victims in the Gilgo Beach case don't match the pattern tied to Hoyerman, their timelines, disposal methods, and cell data suggest someone else with access to the same coastline, someone who learned from the first killer, or hunted the same victims, or simply waited until investigators stopped looking. And when you stand on that beach at night, listening to the wind cutting across the dunes, you can't help but feel like you're being observed, like someone memorized the patterns of the tide long before anyone found the first body. Because cases like this don't end with an arrest. They end when the last secret is pulled from the sand. And Ocean Parkway still has too many secrets left